Hey friends, today I want to talk about how the brain, it's a beautiful, powerful piece of machinery. Have you ever noticed when someone mentions a red truck and then the next thing, you're out driving around and all of a sudden you're noticing all these red trucks, or you get a piercing and now all of a sudden you're noticing everybody's piercings, or you're working on your house and now you can't help but, notice anything that has to do with like home decor. This is a really common thing a lot of people can relate to because it's a beautiful insight into the mind. The brain is hardwired to recognize whatever it's looking for. You see, the world is full of information. We are receiving like 1 million bits of information per second, and yet we can only process a handful of that information at any given point in time. Just look behind me. There's so much going on. I've got this shirt. We've got, facial hair here, hair, eyes, all these things. You can notice a few of these, but have you ever noticed if you look at someone, there's like all these things, there's this wonderful show called Brain Games. They would do this test with people. They would have the clerk duck down behind the counter and switch out with a completely different person wearing the same outfit, and half the time the people wouldn't even notice. Because our brain is very selective with what it picks up from its environment. And this is the very reason why when the Stoics say you can control your internal reaction, but you can't control the external world, there's a key here. You can control your internal reaction to the external world, but you can't control the external world. So part of that is controlling your perception of reality, what you choose to pick up from your environment, what you choose to see, what you choose to hear. Things are always being presented to us, so much information. And, a facet of this is when we receive constructive criticism from people. I have a story about a friend of mine who was at work and his boss was telling him how he could have done better on something that he was working on. And, the whole day, his mood was ruined from this because he felt like this constructive criticism that was being given to him, he took it really personally. He took it really in a negative way, even though the boss did not present it with anger, did not present it with criticism, but was just presenting it to him as a learning opportunity, as some feedback. But the thing is, as a child, he could never receive feedback in a positive way because he was never given positive feedback. His dad was mean. He would always give him feedback in a way that came with this anger. It came with this very rough and aggressive energy that really was not meant to help him grow. Maybe from the father's perspective it was, but the way he took that, it did not help him to grow. It did not help him to heal. It's this common thing we can all relate to where someone wants to give us a criticism and we get defensive. Someone's telling us, oh, hey, you did this, it looks really good, but, you could have done better, like, if you'd have done this differently or that differently. And the thing is, it's so common. We get defensive. The second someone is questioning or critiquing something we did. But why are we getting defensive? Are they attacking us? No. So why are we receiving it as an attack? Because our brain is hardwired to pick up on the exact thing that we are looking for, and the things that we are looking for are the things that match with what we already know and already understand. And those things come from the patterns that we develop as children, the patterns that we develop when we are 0 to 7, 7 to 30. We are always developing these patterns, and the patterns that we develop are what work, but they're not always what is the absolute best expression of our highest selves, our highest potential. We develop patterns that they serve us, they get us through, it's a means of survival. It's a powerful thing that the mind does, but it also limits us if we don't take the time with our busy lives, our 9 to 5s, this and that, all this super busy life. And then whenever we're not being busy, what are we doing? We're watching some TV, we're listening to music. Always, our brain is being bombarded with stimulus and stimulation. And so we're hardwired to be able to pick up on only so many things. It's only possible for our brain to absorb so much information in any given moment. And so because of this, we very seldom take time to really deeply reflect on our patterns, on our reactions. Our patterns that are hardwired into our brains, these patterns that we develop as children, these patterns will control and rule our lives until we take awareness of them. The challenge in gaining awareness of these patterns is realizing that they present themselves through our triggers. Whatever it is that upsets you, whenever you feel a negative emotion, whenever you find yourself getting defensive, it's because a pattern is playing itself out. And so if you can learn to become aware of this, if you can catch yourself getting defensive, if you can catch yourself getting upset, try to follow it back, relive the incident, go back to what it is that first triggered that pattern within you, that thought, that emotion within you. And then when you see that initial thought, it's based from a place of powerlessness, a place of fear, a place of some negative emotion, and these negative thoughts that come with them, you'll realize that it's not coming from your highest self, your highest potential. And so that's just something I want to leave you with today. Something to ponder on, something to think about.